We talk about these racist incidences that happen in America, where these unarmed black men are being apparently hunted down by these rows of white supremacist cops, even though every single year we're talking about maybe 15 or so unarmed black men are shot by police. And a lot of those men were unarmed, but they were just armed right before they were shot, or they were trying to run over the cop with their car before they got out and ran and were shot or something like that. So again, it's the narrative versus the reality. And there's whatever people think, and then there's truth. But then there's something that happened to you when you were walking through Chicago one day with your baby in broad daylight. And this was kind of like a center point of the new book, While Time Remains. And it kind of led you to even write the book, because this thing had a massive impact on you. So take us through that story and take us through what happened.
So yeah, well, after I graduated from Columbia that year, I couldn't even go to graduation because of the pandemic. They would lock down the cities, close all the small businesses and restaurants, and we couldn't go anywhere. So it was August during the lootings of BLM at George Floyd's summer. Even the grocery stores get looted. I couldn't go buy the milk for my son. The children's hospital get looted, literally. They would burn down the prescription pills, so people could not get their prescription pills. This is a complete evil act these people are committing. And the mainstream media saying there's really not much violence. They're completely lying to people. And I'm living in the heart of downtown, and these people are saying they're gonna destroy Trump Tower, and we are like living next to that. And the government still not denouncing them as a domestic terrorist. Like literally, there are people gonna destroy a building, and entire bridge goes up. There's checkpoint. That's not domestic terrorism. And that day, I was gonna go out to get some fresh air with my son and with my nanny, and I was pushed in the broad daylight. I was pushed to the on the wall, and these girls would come. They are black women, punching me and take my wallet out of me. So I was using my phone to try to record and try to call the police on these girls. But then that's when I couldn't believe it. The people on the street would see me being robbed and getting punched. And a young mother with a 2-year-old baby next to her. They would circle around me and screaming at me that I'm a racist. That person's skin color does not make them a thief. You're a racist. You're crazy. Why are you doing this? They were looking into my eyes. Why are you doing it? Because I was trying to call the police on these girls. These thieves, the criminals. And I still remember in these people's eyes, just a rage, like looking at me. Why are you doing this? I'm like, it's a common sense. If you get robbed and punched, you're in danger, you call the police. But I didn't deserve justice because my skin color was not black. Americans are to the point, they decide who deserves justice and compassion and help based on their skin color. Like North Korea, if you're blood-tainted landowner child, you don't deserve food. You need to die, get tortured, and be a slave. And like that. And that's when I understood it was just not a college that was crazy. This ideology, this horrible evil ideology that made North Korea what it is, came outside the campuses and now is on the street. People lost their common sense. They become mad. And they would refuse to help me. And they were blocking me to call the police.
It doesn't even... I feel like, Yeonmi, if you had tried to write that, like you were writing a novel, and you had tried to think of what is the dumbest possible situation that somebody could go through, I don't even know that you would have came up with a situation like that.
No.
But as I'm reading it, it's like, yep, I can totally see that happening in a major American city like Chicago. And so it's like, you experience everything that you've experienced in your life, Yeonmi. Everything that we've talked about and everything that's in your books. Again, guys, go and buy While Time Remains, out now, and also your original memoir, In Order to Live. But there's one quote that, and we'll make this the last question of the day, because there's a quote from your new book that, frankly, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you could write this, but I'll go ahead and read it here. It is not just the basic provisions of everyday life, nutritious food, clean water, light, heat, a bed to sleep in, that I now regard as minor miracles. I feel a deep appreciation and awe for human freedom as a whole, the right to exist, the ability to think, to love, to walk or sit without looking over my shoulder, to take 2 consecutive breaths uninterrupted by fear. I feel that I have an unusual capacity for gratitude now, and I owe it to the 16-year nightmare that was my previous life. In the most twisted way imaginable, I actually regard that time as a blessing. So you look at the first 16 years of your life, literal hell on earth, where you were thinking about dying being better than living, right? You know, you mentioned it earlier in the show, like, you know, up to 5 minutes maximum it would take you to die, but it would keep you from having to live for the rest of your life. Whereas most of the people on the planet are like, what can I do to live as long as possible? You've experienced everything, brainwashing, rape, the things you've experienced here in this country. And you say that you regard that time as a blessing. And every time I hear you talk, Yeonmi, you're super positive and you're super hopeful and optimistic about what the rest of your life is going to be like for you. And now not just for you, but for you and your son. Explain that to me. Again, the eternal pessimist that you're talking to right now, Yeonmi, it doesn't make sense to me how you could have that life and have this mindset. Explain it.
I think there's this, right? It's without darkness, I guess we cannot see the light. Like fish in the water, don't notice the water. People who were born with two arms will never be able to imagine life without one arm. I think for Americans who were born in freedom, for them it's just a natural thing like fish in the water. They just take it for granted. It's natural in some sense. But for me, I was born in that darkness. I come here. It's not a natural thing for me. For me, it's a very unnatural to be free, and life can be this unbelievably good. I think because of that, I don't have to spend a penny on therapy. And also, I now understand how amazing, how resilient humans are. In America, with tiny little discomfort, they give you medicine. Like when I was pregnant with my son, my doctor, in every appointment, she was asking me, do you get like a depression? Postpartum depression is a very common thing for women. Or do you need medicine for that? Like, everything is over-medicated in America. Like somehow you cannot feel any little discomfort. That's not okay somehow in this culture. And that eliminates your ability to overcome challenges in life, to become strong and finding a deeper sense of who you are. I think because of my North Korean experience in some sense, like, you know, everything in life in America that I is a piece of cake. I don't need a pierce. I don't need therapy. And I don't need to live in a mansion. Like I'm just grateful for probably everything. And I'm just grateful that I have health. I'm free. Like I have roof over my head. And I think in some sense that's why I think in some sense I'm so grateful that I was not born here. Because if I were born here, I might be one of those kids on their juice detox, on their expensive yoga pants, on their laptop, and gonna talk about social justice and complaining how horrible capitalism is.
It's just incredible to hear you say that. I mean, at Undaunted Life, we equip men to push back darkness with content that forges spiritual, mental, and physical resilience. And so I go around preaching the good news of resilience to people all over the place, and we have listeners all over the world. But I have never spoken with somebody who embodied resilience more than you. So I just wanted to tell you bravo to everything that you've done, that you've come through, and also the work that you're doing now. I really appreciate all the time that you spent with us today. But that's all for me. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest?
No, Dabio, thank you so much for having me on.